If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
And a pleasant good day to you and yours. The time is approximately 3 minutes moving away from the 8 o'clock hour. And welcome to another presentation of Island Tea. And as I stated yesterday, I will be on my lonesome up for the rest of this week. But Hortensia should be back with us come next Monday. She is otherwise occupied doing some training and so forth. You know how life is when you wear many different hats, as she is apt to do. Now, again, good day to you and yours. Hope your day started well and will continue in that vein. For those of you who are a bit under the weather, here's hoping that you get back to 100% or as close to that as expeditiously as possible. As for me, I'm okay. I'm in good spirits, nothing to complain about. As old people would say, knock on wood, because you are in good health and thankful to the Almighty for being such. Now, recently, as has been an ongoing topic, is all about land in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and more precisely of a particular zone over on Nevis. This has been of considerable frustration, not only to the folks over there on Nevis, but to all of us, because we know that this is nothing but an experiment, and if it is successful, it will move from the shores of Nevis, from within the proximity of our sister island of Nevis, and come over here to plague us also. So we are concerned, and naturally so. We're concerned about not only what it represents, we're concerned about losing our culture, identity, because what is being purported, it seems, is that some foreign entity will be taking over most of the things that we elect our governments to do. Things like making sure that we have proper land, housing, electricity, water, infrastructure that makes it more comfortable as we move along in life. So that is one of the major reasons why we are concerned. We're also concerned because of the vagueness of this presentation. And as I read yesterday, we heard from the Bar Association that they were not sitting down idle, nor had they accepted what is being presented by the federal parliament and or otherwise. They stated in that communication that they have not been properly informed. When they were informed, it was not in a manner that gave them time for proper scrutiny. And since then, they have not been further enlightened as to what this project is all about. So, any suggestion by the Attorney General or anyone else that they are either complicit or that they are in agreement with anything put forward would be misleading. That again raises red flags for us because we're thinking to ourselves, well, okay, we know the trend is that normal citizens are not usually informed because there seems to be a disdain for the electorate, the ones that gave you the power to be where you are. It seems as if though when you become governments, you get a disdain for those who put you where you are. So you ignore them, do not properly inform them, and you feel it is just, as I've heard one or two individuals state who are associated with the incumbent say, well, you know, we were elected to lead, so we should do just that. Well, yes, you should lead, but we also think that you should be gracious enough as to inform us as to what you will be leading us into and how you will be doing so, and keeping us a fay so that we are more comfortable with your leadership. Not to just hear that you are imposing things on us and we are none the wiser. So that is one of the major things that we hear here within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The other major problem is a threat to our zone of peace, and as I said yesterday, we have not only the Americans in our waters now, we have the Russians, and we also we have the Chinese here, and there seems to be a standoff. And some say that this could escalate, and some say that this could be a matter of, how can I phrase it? A matter of individuals posturing, and hopefully it would not come to anything that would be negative. Unfortunately, though, there are some things that we must look at, and one of the things is the United States have already committed to having warships and submarines and soldiers within our vicinity. So the question is, how are they going to bow out of this without looking rather foolish? Can they do this and save face? I think as it stands presently, it looks rather unlikely. So we wind up in a position where it seems after you've committed, it seems like perhaps you would have to do something to validate why you are here in our region. What has been put forward so far, none of us is buying it, neither us in the region nor, from my understanding, anyone mostly around the world. Even the allies of the United States, even though some of them are very silent on it, the ripples suggest that they do not buy into this thing that this is all about drugs and stopping the terroristic acts against the U.S. And it is rather ironic that the U.S. would say they are being terrorized because individuals are shipping drugs to within their proximity, and their individuals, their citizens, voluntarily buy these drugs and partake of them. But the U.S. call it terrorism, but they do not see it as terrorism to come in our waters uninvited and to put us in a state of agitation and fear. They do not see that as a terrorizing act, when we here know that this could escalate into something that we will all regret, and also that we are being terrorized because we are fearful now of moving across the waters, because whoever deems it convenient, they can just bomb us and, you know, let me go to the phone lines. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Good morning, Quint.
Good day to you, Greg, and how are you today?
Blessed in Jesus' name and greetings once more in Jesus Christ's name, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, through faith only, and the second person of the eternal Trinity.
Yesterday you said your electricity went off. For how long did it go off, and how long did it stay off?
It went off about 10:30. To be quite honest, I didn't really check to see when he came back. To be quite honest,
because
maybe just a pure guess.
I kind of wanted even an approximate, because, like I said, we have a system that depends on electricity in that area. And like I said to my colleague yesterday, you see what I tell you? We spend money, we go up there, we put on the transmitter, and then electricity goes off, we're off. The next day we have to go up there, spend money, go up there, put on the transmitter, electricity is off. I mean, this is just completely unacceptable.
Well, it is, and like I said, the last time concerning this issue, it's not just as people look at it as just a simple electricity going off, come back on, going off, come. People just look at it as just that, but no, the implications is far more than that. The implication is that
I don't think
you're messing with people's business.
But that's what I'm saying. So I don't think everyday people look at it as just electricity going off and on, because everyone, even a little child, knows the importance of having electricity in a modern era. You go into a supermarket, you can't get certain things. The cashier can't really cash you and all kind of stuff. I mean, no. Everyone knows the importance of certain things that we should be having.
Yeah, like things might spoil in your fridge and that sort of stuff. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
But those people know it's even far more serious than that, because you're messing with people's businesses, and businesses are run your country, really.
Yeah, your economy depends on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and employment and so on of people.
And
yes.
And I think it's the Honorable Congress Maynard who is the Minister of the electricity and water and so on and so forth. And I've avoided, saying anything about him or to him, but it's getting to the point where one is going to have to agitate, because, like I said, they're young people and we want to see them succeed, but they should be able to represent what the people needs, and what the people need is proper facilities so that we can go about our daily lives comfortably.
Yeah, yes. And for example, again, you're trying to make connections with Africa for business people to come here to do business. Well, let me say this. African businessmen and women are just like any other businessmen and women all over the world,
Yeah.
And you ain't going to want to put on your businesses or invest a lot in a country where electricity is unreliable.
Yeah.
And Africa don't have electricity problems in many of the countries, but you ain't going from one country that have electricity problem to another one that also have the same problem. No, when you go invest in countries and that sort of, you're going to be checking out all of these things, how reliable your electricity is, the price, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, another issue, as you've been talking about the land issue, let me say this. Okay, Quint? I'm going to say this. And it kind of piggyback back on what I said yesterday. In the book of Deuteronomy, it tells us, well, God speaking to the Israelites, who was supposed to be an instruction nation to the other nations of the world throughout all of history. And God told the Israelites this: if you obey me, you would be the head, and the foreigners who are among you would be the tail. But if you disobey my word, you disobey the scriptures, the Bible, God promised the Israelites, I'm going to make you to be the tail, and the foreigners who are among you, and there I will make to be your head. We are people who are living in disobedience to the Bible, the Holy Scriptures, and we just see the Bible playing out as it says it would. We are being made the tail, and the foreigners are being made the head. It's all scriptural.
Okay.
And I'm not surprised. And in order for things to really turn around, we have to biblically repent of our disobedience to the Word of God and start to obey the Bible. Other than that, nothing will change. We will continue to get worse and worse and worse. And this zone of peace, same thing applies. We have a zone of false peace, and if we want true peace, which will come to an end, God will not allow it to continue always. But if we want true peace that is everlasting, we have to turn to the Bible. Only the Bible has the answer, Quint. Only the Bible. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, and thank you for your input. Thank you for your input. And what do? I think I should take a bit of a commercial break. And so let me scroll back up here and take a bit of a commercial break. And I'll be right back so that we can go into our discussion. Don't forget, at the bottom of the hour, we should be having Dr. Natalie Osborne and Daily Dose. As of now, let's take a bit of a commercial break, and I'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WinnFm.
Value Mart IGA specials.
Roaming October 30th to November 12th.
Now our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Pearl Milk Pancake Mix is just $11.99. Essential Everyday Vegetable and Canola Oils, $13.99 each. Pearl Milk Pancake Syrups, $13.99. Langus Cranberry Juices, $11.99. Essential Everyday Cream Cheese Bars, $7.99. Essential Everyday Fries, just $14.99. And now our very low weekly
Value deals. IGA and Essential Everyday Peanut Butter, Creamy and Crunchy, $8.99. IGA Essential Everyday Salad Dressing, $9.99. Mueller's Dry Pasta, $5.99. Hammer Toothpaste, $14.99. Hammer Deodorant, $8.99. Extra Liquid Detergent, $12.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en
Value Mart.
Here comes the Mega Ball. You could win more with the Mega Ball. Pick 3 and pick 4 and you could get all. Yes, playing pick 3 and pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery just got more rewarding. Now you can win more with the Mega Ball. For just an extra $1, increase your winnings by $1,000 with the pick 3 and a big $10,000 with the pick 4. Don't wait, play today. Play pick 3 and pick 4 with the Mega Ball at Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. You ready to win a little extra? Then get on the ball. Must be 21 and over to play.
And we are back at the time, 21 minutes moving away from the 8 o'clock hour. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Hello, caller.
Hi, good morning, Quinn.
Good morning to you, Africa, and how are you today?
I'm giving thanks for life. There are 3 ships in the town, so I'm plying my trade as a freelance.
Would you be able to meet your monthly commitment?
Of course, of course.
Just want to make
Irrespective,
sure.
I've made other sacrifices before, and I'm committed to that. So I'll be gracing the studios tomorrow.
Okay.
Quinn, you have put out a lot of food for thought. I like the what is coming from Trinidad's end,
Yes.
because for the life of me as a Caribbean person, I don't understand how Trinidad could have found themselves there. There were other attempts to divide us and separate us and pick us off one by one. Even with the Venezuela issue prior, because Trump won, his attempt towards what he's trying now has happened before. But with Russia getting involved and maybe China getting involved, and the lady that the clip you played from Trinidad, she did say that it's Kamala Prasad Besesa is who sign off on the Caribbean as a zone of peace.
Yes.
Whether it has happened in this present administration, maybe not. But she held the realm of prime ministership in Trinidad and Tobago before. And that was probably would have been the time that she signed off on the Caribbean being a zone of peace.
Yeah.
I try to follow Kamala's ideology, and Kamala is trying to say that there is war in Trinidad, and even if there's war in Trinidad on its merit, I cannot see how Kamala is trying to tie the war in Trinidad with a futuristic war that will come to the region.
Yeah. I for the life of me, I can't either.
Because every island has its own challenge. There are times, even us, St. Kitts and Nevis, we have our challenge in terms of violent crime and the like. You name it, the islands, Jamaica, they have their own challenges. But for Kamala...
And Africa, most of the challenges that we have, if you were to do an analysis, you will find that a lot of it stems from external influence, and more specifically United States influence. It's usually to do with drugs and that kind of stuff. And how come they don't see it as they terrorizing us, drugs and guns in our region and that kind of stuff, but they're saying that we are terrorizing them?
Yeah, you see, because for Donald Trump to say, well, all right, and it's such a far stretch. For you to be having maybe a nuclear submarine in the area, for you to having these warships to be fighting down, and then you're going to say the other means of doing it did not work. So this is the extreme means of doing it he had was to resort to.
And the main
you know that Smith and Wesson and other companies who manufacture firearms, they're not coming from here. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Because if you say the narcotics is coming from south, the Smith and the firearms are coming from the north. And so we are caught in the midst of it because we're in the midst of the north and the south, in the archipelago of islands in the Caribbean. But Quint, what I wanted to bring though this morning, as I say, I am down on the Port Zante, and the services, generally speaking, both public and private sector, is like it is at an all-time low. And it's not for the one that we don't get refresher course. It's not for the ones that we don't have the material to enhance the services. And it permeates right across the public and the private sector. The rental companies, the attitudes of those in areas to serve our guests, right across the board. And then our infrastructure, certain aspects of it. You take a drive over to the Southeast Peninsula and go down to Cockleshell Bay, up by the Reggae Beach Bar and Grill area, where the water taxi operates. And you tell me if this is an area that we will want our guests to bridge the islands to go over to, comparing to Nevis's end. You tell me, if you go there now because it's raining on and off, you will see the real bad pans of water. We are yearning for water in St. Kitts and Nevis, and there's more water in those ponds over there than we got water in our taps for our residents to get water. The services is at an all-time low, right across the board. And I can see where
Africa,
it's like the authorities like they gave up.
Africa, let me interject just to inform you that in the next 3 minutes we'll be having Daily Dose. So I want you to keep
I
that
know. Yeah.
in your...
Thank you. Thanks for the info.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so
otherwise.
it is egregious because I am making my rounds, and it's like I'm hoping that it gets better, and it is getting worse. Hoping that it gets better, and it's getting worse. I made a proposal to SCELEC when I was a member of the board of directors, and no one took it on until maybe a year after with the lighting, because I had an experience working for someone else from the airport. The flight came in after 12, going to 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was to take my guests, first-timers, over to the water taxi to get over to Nevis. Pitch black, dark. And so now common sense prevailed from my initiative that I presented to the board of directors. We sat and we discussed it, and there was like heads was, ideas was flying back and forth. And I held my ground and I said, we need lighting. We need better visuals at those areas. Because I said, you know what? The politicians themselves, they're going to be using these areas, and they're going to see the dangers of having better visual lighting in these areas.
Okay,
and then, when a lot of cars got broken to over there, that is
Africa,
probably the wake-up call to them.
We're gonna have to cut it because time is of the essence here. So we can continue this at another occasion.
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for your input. I'm going to take a bit of a break as there might be a few pointers that we need to be sure on. So let me take a bit of a break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
The right time, right ride, right now at Horsefoot's Automotive. Buy now or reserve for VAT discount days, Friday, December 12th and Saturday, December 20th, and get our lowest rates ever. Plus, enjoy up to $17,000 on select models. No VAT and no down payment. Drive away with finance with Horsefoots and get free bill of sale, free servicing for 12 months, free registration, free tinting, and even free groceries or gas for 3 months. Because the right time is here for the right vehicle with the right deal right now. Visit Horsefoot's Automotive right now. Drive smart. Drive Horsefoots. Terms and conditions apply.
Here comes the Mega Ball. You can win more with the Mega Ball. Pick 3 and pick 4 and you could get all. Yes, playing Pick 3 and Pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery just got more rewarding. Now you can win more with the Mega Ball. For just an extra $1, increase your winnings by $1,000 with the Pick 3 and a big $10,000 with the Pick 4. Don't wait, play today. Play Pick 3 and Pick 4 with the Mega Ball at Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. You ready to win a little extra? Then get on the ball. Must be 21 and over to play.
Campari, Red Passion. Embrace the mix.
Campari, Red Passion. Full action, this is Red Passion. Embrace the mix. Add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser in your drink. Campari, Red Passion, make the nicest mix. Campari.
Campari Red Passion. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
And a pleasant good day to you and yours. Welcome back. And we are here with the doc today on Weekly Dose. And today we'll be speaking about something that affects almost everyone at some point in our lives, and it may start with slight pain and wind up being something more serious. So, good day to the doc, Dr. Natalie Osborne, our general surgeon. How are you today? Always a pleasure.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing good. Thanks. I'm happy to be here. So yes, as you mentioned, that today we're going to be talking about abdominal pain. It's one of the most common reasons that people visit the emergency room and go and see their doctor. And understanding what's going on can really make a difference, Quint, in making an early diagnosis and putting adequate treatment. And why I chose this topic is oftentimes I look for some form of inspiration, but in the last couple of days, a young man presented to the institution, to the healthcare system with abdominal pain on 3 separate occasions, and he was seen initially and evaluated and was sent home. He came back, and then he came back again. And eventually the diagnosis was made, and the individual was diagnosed with acute appendicitis and had to have emergency surgery. And that leads me to the conversation of when abdominal pain is quote unquote a serious pain, or when is it something that is going to pass, because there's so many causes and so many reasons. And it all depends, because sometimes it's very unclear exactly what the pain is, especially in the beginning. But it's important for the audience to understand that they need to be their own advocate, and they need to follow up and until they get the right answer in these situations. So that is why it's important.
Okay, so when you say abdominal pains, what exactly are we referring to?
Well, that's a great place to start, because sometimes people often say stomach pain, belly pain, and it's such a wide area. So when we talk about the abdomen, that lies just beneath that area just below your chest, okay? And it just ends off just by that little bone there in the middle that's called the xiphoid process, and it goes all the way down to the pelvis. And there are lots of organs there, because although people say stomach pain or belly pain, there are different structures and organs that we have to keep in mind that oftentimes are the source of these pain. So we have things like the stomach, we have the gallbladder, we have the pancreas, we have the bowels, or what we call the intestines. You've got the kidneys there. And even parts of the reproductive system, like in females, the ovaries are there, the fallopian tube, the uterus or the womb. And you have all the systems that are part of the urinary system, like the bladder. So it's a whole lots of structures that are there that can lead to the said abdominal pain. All right?
My understanding of abdominal is this muscular part there, but I guess anything behind in that proximity would...
No, when we speak of abdominal pain, we're speaking about pain in the tummy, anything the belly, that area that the people call belly. And I just mentioned it. It's not the wall itself. The organs are the structures that are housed inside the wall that can give you pain. You can have pain as a result of something going on with your kidneys, something going on with your stomach, something that's going on with your bowels. So that's why it's such a wide range of symptoms. But our goal and our time here is to inform and enlighten the audience when something needs to be revisited, like the patient, revisited until we get the answer. Because sometimes, and oftentimes, the pain is mild or it's nothing, but there are times when this pain is going to be something serious, and we have to be able to look at what makes one pain different from the other. And this is why we're here in a discussion.
So then it seems as if though it is not always related to something that we ate.
Yes, because Quinn, people are always saying that it's indigestion or gas. Everything we have a way of thinking that it's gas. Sometimes it can be what we call indigestion, like sometimes you ate something and it didn't settle right with you. All right, you may have had long periods of extended fasting and you would have eaten something that kind of upset your stomach. We call that indigestion. But sometimes it can be something more serious, like an acute appendicitis, gallstones, kidney stones, or any kind of obstruction where your bowel is not functioning when, or it could be something that's causing bleeding in your tummy. What if it's a young female and she has an ectopic pregnancy where the baby is growing outside of the normal place where it should be, like inside the uterus, and that can give you abdominal pain. And those are some of the things that we have to keep in mind.
Okay, so what are some of the other symptoms that can help us to find out what is going on?
Yes, because sometimes persons are unsure. Most times when a pain begins in the belly or in the tummy, it starts small or light, okay, or mild, we'll say, and then it can intensify. Oftentimes we tend to shrug it off. Okay, but there are certain things that you must keep in mind. If they're associated with this tummy pain, it might be an indicator that the pain is worse than it is, than it actually is, and that it is leading something or pointing us in the direction of a more severe condition. So we're talking about if you start having, along with the tummy pain, things like nausea, vomits, if you start having fevers, or you're feeling extra cold even though the day is warm. We call that chills. If you realize that you may be having diarrhea or you're unable to pass any stool, those are things you have to keep in mind. If your tummy looks bigger than it normally is, like bloated or what we call distended, you want to keep that in mind as well. If you're having difficulty passing urine or you have blood in the urine, you want to consider this. And if you see that your eyes are turning yellow along with this abdominal pain, so these are the associated symptoms, and that your urine is extra dark, or if you've been losing weight or your appetite has changed, if you know normally you're a hearty eater, and any of these symptoms come to mind along with the pain in the abdomen, you want to say, hey, this may be pointing me to something more serious.
Okay, so that means then that location, the type of pain, and other factors could tell a story.
Yeah, because Quint, when you think about it, you want to keep in mind where the pain is located, okay? The intensity of the pain, that could tell you something. So if you tend to have pain and you're having pain in the right upper quadrant, just right under your rib cage on the right side, we call that the right upper quadrant, and you have vomiting or you have nausea or discomfort, and most time this pain is associated when you have a meal, it may be pointing you towards the gallbladder. If you realize that this pain, it starts in the flank or the back region and it's moving down towards your leg, this might be indicating that it's like a kidney stone. So there's certain things. For example, if you have this burning pain in the upper abdomen and it improves after you would have had something to eat, it may be indicating that there's an ulcer in the stomach. So there are lots of different associating symptoms or based on the location of the pain. If the pain is in the right lower quadrant, like right there just above your pelvic on the right side, and it's fixed there, and when you start moving around you realize that you're having more pain with any activity, that could be pointing towards your the appendix. So you want to keep some of these cues in mind, because ultimately this is going to be your indicator that, hey, I need to get this checked out.
Okay, I heard you say that sometimes it is mild and then sometimes it is something that you should be concerned about. So when does someone really begin to worry, or should someone begin to worry?
Because as we said, oftentimes a pain can start just like a little bother, a little discomfort. But you've realized that it is intensifying and time is going and the pain is persistent there. 5 hours, you continue to have this pain with no relief. or the pain goes away, but then it comes back and its intensity is getting worse and worse. These are some of the red flags. So I don't want our audience to ignore what we call these red flags. If you start having vomits, Quint, and there is any blood in the vomit, that's a red flag. Or it looks dark like coffee ground. If you start having stools that are black and really, really dark or bloody, if you start having high fevers, or abdominal swelling that's continued, this is not your normal tummy, you realize you can't pin your skirt or your pant up. These are things that you want to be concerned about. If you start sweating unnecessarily and you start having this kind of, like your heart is racing and you start feeling faint, or you start feeling like dizzy, these are things you want to keep in mind, because these could be indicative that there's an infection going on, that you're bleeding somewhere, or that there is some kind of blockage. So these are the red flags that you just don't think, okay, it's going to pass, because you have the tummy pain, it's becoming worse and worse, and we have all these associated symptoms, like the vomits we say, you're feeling really ill and faint, your heart starts to race, you start to sweat uncomfortably, you're feeling weak, you don't have any appetite, and these are indicators that, hey, I need somebody to take a look at me.
So this isn't something that you can look at casually.
Yeah, because oftentimes what people would say, Quinn, I'm going to take a nap and maybe I'll sleep it off and tomorrow it should be better. You don't want to do that, because delaying can create complications. There are patients who at times say, I don't want to go to the hospital. But the more they delay, the worse their symptoms can be and the more complication. So what could have been, like for example, supposing it's the appendix, what could have been simply of having an appendectomy? If it perforates or bursts, you can have pus in the entire abdomen, and that would you can have a need in that instant for a larger incision, a more involved or complex surgery. So delaying it can lead to much more severe complications, and early diagnosis, of course, save lives.
Okay, so there are some situations where things are very, very serious and would need surgery. But what are the common non-surgical causes, or some of them at least?
Yes, so it is important to understand, and you ask the right question, that there are causes that can be surgical and some causes that are non-surgical. But though they are non-surgical, that they don't need any surgery, they're important and they can lead to issues. What if your person have an inflammation in the stomach? We call that a gastritis. Or they have an ulcer in the stomach. That could give you some intense pain, cramping pain in the stomach. And you need to have that checked out. What if the person is having vomiting and diarrhea, like an infection? We call that gastroenteritis. What if it's your menstrual cycle? Women have a severe pain during their menstrual cycle. That could be a non-surgical cause. But they still may need to see the emergency room physician, because they may need some kind of pain management at that time. If you have kidney stones are described to be one of the most intense pain that you can have. Because what happens, that stone falls out of the kidney into that tract that we call the ureter, and it bruises and irritates the lining, and it causes such intense pain. Oftentimes that person can present with blood in the urine as well. But that pain occurs around the back and it's just all over. It's such an intense, miserable pain. It can take the strongest man down to his feet when he has that pain. If you have a urinary tract infection, that can give you abdominal pain. Though it doesn't need any surgical intervention, these can be treated with medication, of course, hydrating the patient because they're vomiting, they're not doing well, and some lifestyle adjustment, but not surgery. But these are pain and issues that can complicate if not addressed.
And what are some of the surgical causes now?
So when we think of surgical causes, we know that acute appendicitis is one of the #1 cause of any visit to the emergency room. And I want to emphasize this because I like to emphasize this to our young physicians who work in the emergency room, that when you see a male, especially a male who was previously healthy, comes in with abdominal pain, the most common thing is going to be the appendix. Why is that? Because a young adult male between their 20s and their 40s are thinking that if they had no other health issues, they start having acute onset of pain, and the pain is probably by around the navel, then it moves down to the right lower quadrant. That's a strong indicator. And why it is easier in males than females, because females have the ovaries, the uterus. That could be a problem as well. But almost importantly, you have to think, if I'm having pain in the tummy on the right side, I have to think that that could be an acute appendicitis. So that's one of the conditions that you need to get checked out, because that can need surgical intervention. Gallstones, if you have an infection in the gallbladder, we call that cholecystitis, quit. And that can lead to a severe infection there, and you may have to have the gallbladder removed. What about if the person is obstructed? What do we mean when we say obstructed? That there's a blockage in the colon, in some part of the bowel. It could be for many different reasons. It could be because they've had previous surgery and they have scarring. It could be that they have a tumor or something that's blocking, but these are serious conditions that need to be checked out urgently. What if someone has a hernia and it becomes trapped? We call that incarcerated. Persons could be having a hernia, have hernia for years, but then it can go into what we call a defect or opening in the abdominal wall, and it gets stuck in there. And then you have pain, vomiting and stuff. That's a surgical emergency. So these conditions can start mild, but Quint, if not addressed, they can become severe life-altering conditions if not treated.
Okay, so then we see why it is important that someone does not try to do their own self-diagnosis and say, well, okay, let me just take something to ease the pain.
I see persons do that, and you're correct in saying that. Lots of us doctors in the community, we have a lot of community doctors, neighborhood doctors that just say, oh, well, just take this and you'll be fine, or just drink this bush tea and all would be well. And oftentimes, what happens when you take painkillers, Quint, it can mask the symptoms and you feel fine for a while, but the underlying problem still remains. And obviously, the appendix is still there inflamed, but it calmed your pain down because you took some pain medication. But you want to always evaluate if this pain persists. If you were to take the painkillers and it goes away completely, it could have just been something mild, a non-specific abdominal pain. But if that pain returns or persists, you know, well, this painkiller is not doing it. I need to investigate or have some investigation done as to what exactly is the cause.
So as the individual who is versed in this field, tell me, when should someone go and see a doctor or visit the emergency room?
Okay, and this is just re-emphasizing that what we keep saying. If the pain lasts more than a few hours or keep coming back, there's no reason you stay home. If you said an hour would have passed by, 2 hours, but you're in your 4th and your 5th hour and this pain has not relented and continues to worsen, you need to have someone check it out. If the pain interrupts your sleep or your daily activity, sometimes you can see it in kids too. You know that your son is very active and he jumps all about, but you realize that for the last couple of hours, he's just sitting there. He's having pain. He doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to be active. If it interrupts your sleep, you know that something is wrong. If you're having pain that interrupts your sleep time, you know you need to get that checked out. So if it is associated with fever, vomiting that continues, something must be wrong. Or you feel that your urine has blood in it, or you're unable to urinate, or you're unable to pass gas. We pass gas all the time rectally. And if we're unable to pass gas or you're unable to stool for days, this is something that you need to have checked out, okay? So it's always better to be cautious. You're not to bother when you go when there is a need. You go in, you say, Doc, and you explain your symptoms as best as you can. I've been having this pain now. I looked at it, I watched it for 4 or 5 hours. It hasn't been relieved. I'm unable to sleep because this pain doesn't allow me to sleep. I had 1 vomit, I had 2 vomits, and you have to, with that information, your physician should be able to start the ball rolling in assessing you and looking at what could be some of the possible conditions that could be causing this pain.
Okay, what kind of follow-up should one do after their initial visit?
follow up
one
again.
expect? What kind of follow-up would one expect?
Yes. If, for example, you get a diagnosis, let's say, for example, the doctor thinks that it was your stomach and he said, oh, you have some gastritis, there's a little inflammation, and you got some treatment at that time, but you go home and the following day you're still having this pain or this discomfort, or the pain that was high up in the belly is now lower down. That could be a good indicator that it can be your appendix. You want to recheck. Okay, if you're doing much better and we found the cause for your problem, could it be kidney stones, and you got the treatment and there's some relief, then you can follow up for in a couple of weeks with your physician. But if you go home at any point and you see that you are not improved, or the relief was just temporary, just an hour or two, and the pain comes back, of course at this point now you need to say, I need to go back, I need to have this reviewed.
Okay, in terms of prevention, what kind of advice can you give us?
When it comes to prevention, with most of these abdominal pains, some of these mild ones you can. Sometimes you would have gone out to dinner and you had a meal and you had food poisoning, we call that, it could be, and you have gastroenteritis. You may not be able to prevent that. But certain things, by eating healthy diet, you can help overall your well-being to prevent you from having an ulcer in the stomach. You can ensure that you're not abusing pain medication. Oftentimes, a lot of this gastric ulcer is associated with persons who use a lot of painkillers like Motrin, like Voltaren, those things. So you want to be healthy in your overall and wellness, your exercise, your diet. If you have persons who have a history of having kidney stones, you want to ensure that you stay hydrated. To avoid things like an obstruction, you want to make sure that it's not a tumor by having your screening colonoscopies, things like that. And your overall health, because a lot of our chronic conditions can be due to poor diet, lack of exercise, and things like that that can affect our, what we call our gastrointestinal tract, or it can affect our kidneys if we are not taking care of underlying problems like our diabetes and our high blood pressure. So if you have any underlying conditions, you've got to take care of your those conditions so it doesn't lead to complications. Stay hydrated. One of the causes of developing kidney stones is because the person is not well hydrated. Certain things you cannot prevent, but we'll deal with them as they come along. But overall wellness and keeping a healthy weight. Oftentimes, gallstones are seen in persons who have much more weight on them, somebody with a higher body mass index. So these are some of the things you can do to prevent it.
So from the information you've given us so far, one could conclude that one should not take any abdominal pain lightly or casually.
No, it should not be taken casually. As we say, you may have an hour or two at your home to observe it. And if you have a clear idea what it might be, or it's my cycle at this time of the month, and you know that, and you know you're accustomed to have this abdominal pain during that time, then you can take your pain reliever. If you for sure already have a diagnosis and you feel that you've had kidney stones, you've been diagnosed with it, and you feel that some pain is coming on, you know you have to get hydrated, you may have to take some pain meds. But no abdominal pain should be taken lightly and casually, because the bottom line is, if you come in late, 2-3 days down the line, something that can be addressed easily may turn into a much more complex condition with a lot of complications and much more, what could I say, invasive surgery, much more aggressive surgery with a lot of complications, life-altering changes down the line.
So then, to the listening audience, if you're out there and you're experiencing persistent, I think the word would be persistent pain, whether mild or serious, as long as it's persistent, you would advise that they see a physician, a medical practitioner?
Yes, they need to get it seen by a healthcare provider, of course. Sometimes you have to get a second opinion. You may have gone to, for example, you're in Paxson and you've gone there twice and they've sent you home, for example. And then the next time you may say, let me go up JNF, let me see if I could get a second opinion, or I would have gone to the hospital, but the following day my pain continues, let me go and see my private physician, so that you can start getting some more in-depth workup. Because what you have to do is be your own advocate. Ultimately, the doctor is spending 15-20 minutes with you. I'm trying to teach our community that is important, that you've got to fight for yourself. You've got to ask the question. You have to keep going back. You have to say, no, doc, this is not an ordinary pain. This is something that keeps getting worse. I'm convinced that can we get something more done? And you be respectful about that. But you have got to, because ultimately that's your life and you're ultimately going to be affected.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, time flies when you're being informed, right? And I particularly like when you're showing those big words, because it makes me want to look into my encyclopedia and find them out, because I love big words. We have a caller, so let's see if we can entertain that individual. Hello, caller.
Hello. Yes, me again. Good day, Doc. Nice hearing you once more again.
Good day.
Yes. Now, you mentioned that there was a case with a person who was sent home twice, and on the third time back, they found out there was an appendix problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But something kind of puzzled me. Didn't whoever was there, because I know, for example, with appendix, I think I might know that you feel some areas of the tummy, and depends on where that is most tender, could give you an idea that, hey, this might be an appendix problem. Wasn't that done?
Okay.
And hold on, and not only that, for example, you as you correctly said, abdominal issues are very serious issues.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is in intense pain or that sort of stuff, but you ain't know what it is,
okay.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it recommended that person may be kept overnight for observation, or even if it is indeed for a number of hours for observation?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. That's a good question. What happens, and that's why we talk about pain oftentimes starting mildly, Quint. So follow me here down this path. And especially if you want to take appendicitis, right? Appendicitis, initially the pain is around the umbilical or by the navel area, oftentimes, just there. And it's kind of vague initially. And then it becomes more localized. We say that pain radiates down to the right lower quadrant, the right lower side, and it stays fixed there. Of course, and commonly associated with nausea, vomiting, and you can have some fever. That is a classic acute appendicitis. Not everybody is going to present with the classic case, okay? Not everyone is going to present. We say less than about 50% present with the classic pain of periumbilical pain that radiates right down or move right to the right lower quadrant. And then they have nausea, vomiting, fever, but not everybody present classically. So what happens with an individual that presents, of course, they present one sometimes in the initial onset where the pain is vague. And what happened in this case, the person had gone to a different outpost, okay? And sometimes initially the pain is so vague that they're hydrated, they're given some pain meds, and they feel better. Correctly, the individual did was came back, because ultimately we talk about being your advocate and following up, and it's not enough to say, oh, I had this pain, and the doctor say all is well and don't ever go back. If your pain persists, we're trying to educate the audience. Please return, because it is important. Initially, the pain may be mild and very non-specific. That's a word that happens because you're not sure what's going on. And we do observe patients. Quite oftentimes, if we're unsure, we say, yes, We're going to keep him overnight. And a lot of times we do that, and by the morning the patient is very asymptomatic, all their pain has gone. So we do that at times too. But importantly, the patient got attended to, had his procedure done, and did well. But this is just life lessons that we all learn. And importantly, the takeaway is to, if you're seen once and your symptoms doesn't resolve, please follow up again.
Okay, this will have to be our final caller. Hello, caller. Go ahead.
Good morning, Brother Quinn. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Yes, it is true. When you have a stomach pain, do not take it lightly. You should go to your physician or the emergency room because it might be more than what you think it is. Most of us tend to say we have gas, etc. and etc. But there is a thing called diverticulosis. And a lot of us do encounter diverticulosis. And if you don't check that pain, it might be overblown to diverticulitis. So, Doc, I will not explain that. I know it. But if you could explain to the world or the attention you have now, can you explain both stages so that, apart from me, get an understanding? It is very important because I once was a victim of such. And I used to think it's gas. At one point, I thought it was my appendix.
Okay.
But it was diverticulosis escalate to diverticulitis.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So what is diverticulosis? What happens over time, often with poor diet, constipation, there's some weak points that develop in the colon or the large bowel. We've spoken about the colon many times. And on the inside, they almost look like little potholes, and on the outside, they look like pouches. And what happens, these pouches can develop over time with chronic constipation when we have to force, and that increases the pressure in the bowels, and that creates those pouches. These pouches can become infected because they're like little pockets, and fecal matter can get trapped inside that and lead to diverticulitis. And so diverticulitis is a condition that does give you abdominal pain, especially on the left. They oftentimes say it's like similar to appendicitis, but on the left side. We know the appendix is on the right side, but most of the diverticular diseases or these little pouches occur on the left side. So you tend to have that crampy left-sided pain, and it can lead to complications because they can become inflamed, you can get fever, you can become septic, sometimes abscesses form, and you can have perforation leading to severe infections. So that is something, it's a part of the abdominal pain causes, because there's so many causes that can lead to abdominal pain. But the goal is that if you keep having these abdominal pain, you need to get it evaluated. And how do we diagnose a diverticular disease or diverticulosis? If the person would have had their screening colonoscopy, your doctor can say, yes, you have diverticulosis, and this can lead, these are some of the complications that it can lead to and what to look out for. So then you're the informed patient, and once you have that level of information, you can act accordingly as well too, because knowing is important.
Listening to the last caller, I realized that when people are afflicted with certain ailments, they become very versed in,
yes.
in it. You know, so, yeah. So we've come to the end of another presentation of Weekly Dose, and we were graced, as usual, by the lovely Dr. Natalie Osborne. Thank you for being here.
It's always a pleasure, Quint.
It's always a pleasure. Do take
and
care.
Thanks to the audience. So everybody have a great day. And ultimately, we want everybody to be well. Our goal is that we have a healthy and productive community. So if you have any abdominal pain or belly pain, you need to see someone. Don't wait until it's late. Be kind to each other and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Same.
Found the Sound 98.9. WinnFm.
offers Value Mart IGA specials.
Running October 30th to November 12th.
Now, our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Pearl Milk Pancake Mix is just $11.99. Essential Everyday Vegetable and Canola Oils, $13.99 each. Pearl Milk Pancake Syrups, $13.99. Langus Cranberry Juices, $11.99. Essential Everyday Cream Cheese Bars, $7.99. Essential Everyday Fries, just $14.99. And now, our very low weekly
Value deals. IGA and Essential Everyday Peanut Butter, Creamy and Crunchy, $8.99. IGA Essential Everyday Salad Dressing, $9.99. Mueller's Dry Pasta, $5.99. Arm & Hammer Toothpaste, $14.99. Arm & Hammer Deodorant, $8.99. Extra Liquid Detergent, $12.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en
Value Mart.
Here comes the Mega Ball. You could win more with the Mega Ball. Pick 3 and pick 4 and you could get all. Yes, playing pick 3 and pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery just got more rewarding. Now you can win more with the Mega Ball. For just an extra $1, increase your winnings by $1,000 with the pick 3 and a big $10,000 with the pick 4. Don't wait, play today. Play pick 3 and pick 4 with the Mega Ball at Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide. You ready to win a little extra? Then get on the ball. Must be 21 and over to play.
And welcome back. The time is approximately 8 minutes moving away from the 9 o'clock hour. Let me engage the phone lines here. Okay, let me see if I can engage. Hello, caller.
Quint, I'm sorry to call back in so quick again. But there's an issue I would like to tackle from yesterday. No, you know, yesterday I said, and I'm going to be trying as quick as possible. No, you know, yesterday I said that we need to become a republic and get out the British Commonwealth, and the quicker the better. Okay? A gentleman called in and said that, you know, King Charles or whoever can come down here to tell us anything. No, you know, but I never said that that was the case. I never ever said that that was the case. What I said is that where the laws are concerned, if his representative decide not to sign any law, and he decide to go along with his representative, that's going to be a problem. The law can't come to pass. That's what I said. I didn't say that he could come down here and determine this and determine that, even though I wouldn't try that off the table either. Because when these bigger countries decide to get real nasty, I mean, you the small country, I mean, would be in a load of trouble. But still, I did not say that. So I did not want to give that impression. But still, when he did not answer, well, okay, it seemed to me he wanted to say that if his representative decide not to sign something into law, that all the government have to do is just notify the monarch, but the parliament down here can get rid of the governor general, irrespective of whether he agree yes or not. So I would like if the person hear me, if they could enlighten me on that, as the parliament have the power to get rid of the governor general, and all the parliament just have to do is just notify the monarch. That's all. But they themselves, the parliament themselves, if they can get rid of the governor general in such a case, because remember such a case happened during Sir Probin in his time. We did have such a case. But yeah. I think, my understanding was, it was the monarchy who got rid of him, not our parliament. But I might be wrong with that, so the fellow could clear up that. Anybody else? That would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good bit of reasoning there, because in the example that you use, we had to address the monarchy, and one of the things that I often point to in relation to that is that we might pick someone here, but we then have to go on and recommend them to the monarchy, and the monarchy decides to accept. They usually do, and then they carry the credentials of the monarchy and representing the monarchy also. So, hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Hi, Quentin, I'm back.
Yes.
I want to follow, continue from where I left off this morning.
Africa.
Africa,
let me say again, don't think I'm picking on you, but in the next, let me see, 11, 12, 24, 15, in the next 4 or so minutes, we have another interview, right? So, but go ahead in the meantime.
Yes. What you read out, and you said that a barrister, a lawyer, sent it to you, Tracy Hamilton.
Yes.
Sent something you read out yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. That jurisprudence fact, as you could call it that, within the Bar Association and the Office of the AG. Yeah, they need to be on the same page, because what that argument surrounded with the SSV, I think the Attorney General needed a better guidance, because a King's Counsel weighed in on the matter earlier, and it's like that piece of legislation, it is too vague. And where the Bar Association were to weigh in on it before, it would have been tweaked. As I called in yesterday and said that even Premier Matt Brantley wants to adopt and agree for the private persons in that zone to get involved, like in our infrastructure in terms of our energy, maybe water and other things. And it's like we are profiting our ownership of our lands and allowing other private people to come in and take over. And that was not the plan of our forebearers. That was not the plan when Bratcher and others, Manchester and others, saw that these lands. Remember, some people in the U.S. was promised 40 acres and a mule, you know, and they did not get it.
Yeah.
And today, Donald Trump. And I'm going to segue into Zoran.
Well, you can't do that right now, because we're 40 minutes, 1 more minute, and we already have the individuals here. So
okay, whenever when I get the opportunity, I'm gonna pick up from where I left off.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Same to you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your input.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a bit of a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WinnFM.
The right time, right ride, right now at Horsefoot's Automotive. Buy now or reserve for VAT discount days. Friday, December 12th and Saturday, December 20th. And get our lowest rates ever. Plus, enjoy up to $17,000 on select models. No VAT and no down payment. Drive away with finance with Horsefoots and get free bill of sale. Free servicing for 12 months. Free registration, free tinting, and even free groceries or gas for 3 months. Because the right time is here for the right vehicle with the right deal right now. Visit Horsefoots Automotive right now. Drive smart. Drive Horsefoots. Terms and conditions apply.
Here comes the Mega Ball. You can win more with the Mega Ball. Pick 3 and pick 4 and you could get all. Yes, playing pick 3 and pick 4 with the Caribbean Lottery just got more rewarding. Now you can win more with the Mega Ball. For just an extra $1, increase your winnings by $1,000 with the pick 3 and a big $10,000 with the pick 4. Don't wait, play today. Play pick 3 and pick 4 with the Mega Ball at Caribbean. Caribbean Lottery agents island-wide.
You ready to win a little extra? Then get on the ball.
Must be 21 and over to play.
Campari. Red Passion. Embrace the mix.
Campari Red Passion, full action, this is Red Passion. Embrace the mix, add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser in your drink. Campari Red Passion, make the nicest mix. Campari!
Campari Red Passion. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
And a pleasant good day to you and yours. The time is 9:17, and we should be having here with us, we have with us right now, individuals associated with the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have two individuals. I don't know who will speak first, but I turn it over to you.
Okay, good morning. I'm Bertil Brown from the Energy Unit in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Italy.
Yes, and I'm Denasio Frank. Good morning. I'm the Energy Officer within the Energy Unit.
Okay, this morning we're here to inform the public about the CARICOM Energy Month, which is also recognized here in St. Kitts, and we have every year we have several activities in recognition of the Energy Month. And the theme for this year is Invest, Innovate, Sustain, Leading the Charge in Renewable Energy Frontier. And what this theme is saying basically is that renewable energy in St. Kitts and Nevis is something new. There's most of the energy use in St. Kitts, whether it's to generate electricity or for transportation, actually come from fossil fuel. And our quest now to move to renewable energy is something new. It's a new frontier. And in order to do that, we have to make investment. A lot of these renewable energy projects, they require large capital investment up front. And also because of a lot of the difficulties associated with them, they're new. We have to come up with innovative ways of achieving our objective, which is 100% of our electricity generated by renewable energy by 2030. And also, in terms of sustain, renewable energy is sustainable energy. And also, we have to sustain the effort in our quest to achieve our objectives with respect to renewable energy. So that is the theme, and in a nutshell, that is what the theme represents.
Okay, when you speak about renewable energy, could you be more specific? Like what? Solar? What?
Well, it's the energy that regenerates itself in a very short time period. You have fossil fuel, for example. Those fossil fuel took millions of years to form, as opposed to, say, solar. Solar is always there. It's the sun. Well, it's not there in the night, but it's basically there every day, and you can't run out of it. Wind is the same. The wind will always blow, sometimes not as hard as other times, but it will always blow. So you have solar, you have wind, we have geothermal. Those are what we are looking at in the Federation.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, renewable energy is energy that is generated on a human time scale, to be a little more technical. And we're looking at solar, wind, and geothermal in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay. What I want you to do is would like that you go back and forth between you all because you know what you came to discuss. I don't really so I would follow and perhaps interject only when I want to ask a question. So when one speaks, I want the other one to and let it be a back and forth.
Sure, no problem. So I can probably go straight into the activities that we have for
Yes.
Energy Month this year.
Yeah.
Well, we opened this month with an address by the Minister, the Honorable Congress Maynard. We are doing a media tour, so we did Freedom last week. We did ZIZ. We're doing WinnFm now. We're going to be visiting a few more of the radio stations throughout the month. We have a launch of a program. So it's just like, we've been talking a lot about, stuff like feed-in tariffs, where you get compensated for the excess energy that you produce. We are now looking to launch a program that will compensate persons who generate the excess energy. And we're looking at the end of the month to do that launch. We're also launching an electric vehicle policy because electric vehicles can contribute very much to Syncus. Syncus is actually the ideal size for stuff like electric vehicles because on a single charge, you can drive around the island a few times and it's cheaper than to pump gas into your vehicle. So we are looking to launch the EV policy and the compensation for renewable energies at the end of this month. So that will be at the end of this month. We also have what we call a LED glow walk. That is a walk. We're walking from West Bastille to the National Heroes Park, and that'll be on the 29th of this month. So we'll close out the month with that. But we also have two initiatives that we want to push. Every Wednesday this month, we are calling it Unplug Me Day. So we're simply asking you to plug out your devices that you're not using, because truthfully, a lot of them, especially your phone chargers, they can actually pull electricity while even if they're not plugged into your devices. So we're asking you to just plug out your devices on that day. Simple activity. It should help you to reduce your electricity bill. And then every Friday, which is my favorite activity, to be very honest, it is what we call Rough Dry Friday, or the region calls No Iron Day. It's simple activity. On Fridays, you don't iron your clothes. That is it. You just don't iron your clothes on a Friday. And then we actually want to make it a bit more competitive this year. We did it last year, and we want to make it a bit more competitive this year. So we're actually having a competition called Don't Press Me. So DOH, Press Me. And the idea is that you will post your pictures of you in your unironed clothes, and you can actually win a cash prize just in time for the festivities in December. So there's two different categories, well, three technically. There's one for the school, so there's one for primary school, one for secondary school, and then there's one for individuals. So anybody at all, you take a picture, you upload it to Facebook with the hashtags that we will have in our guidelines that will be available on our website, and then you tag the Energy Unit's Facebook page. Plus, you also have to like the Energy Unit Facebook page to be eligible for prizes. And then once you get the most votes, it's based on likes. Whoever gets the most likes, they will get points. And then at the end of the month, we'll tally all the points from the month. And then the person with the most points at the end of the month will receive a cash prize.
Let me kind of interject because I follow what you're saying, but something has been kind of in my mind recently when I listen to you in terms of energy and sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
In the proximity of Middle Island, there seems to be an ongoing problem where the electricity seems to be going off there quite frequently. Now it affects us because is somewhere we have a transmitter up at the Atlas level, right? And within that vicinity, the transmitter that we have, unlike all of the other transmitters that are up there, including one that we have on the at a Spooner's level, when electricity goes and it comes back, our transmitter does not come back on, right? We have to go and trigger it, right? But we've been faced with this problem recently. For instance, we went up one day, we put it on, it was on for the rest of that day, it was on for the night. By the next day, it was off because electricity went off in that area. we are in a position where we're kind of wary now of going and putting it on because electricity is not consistent there. It is true that yes, the transmission should come on, but it's a very modern and sensitive transmitter. We also know, you both will be aware, that when electricity goes and it comes back, it often tends to come with a surge, right? So maybe that is why this is, protective of that. It seems to be one of the transmitters that should be in-house, whereas electricity go off, we go in a back room, and we trigger it back on. So what are you all going to be doing to make sure that electricity is consistent in that area? Because it is a bit of a problem. We have to pay monies to go up there, and it is not easy to access up there. For instance, if it rains up there, we can't go up there for 2 days or so. You understand the inconvenience to us.
Okay.
So,
we're here representing the ministry.
Okay,
and
not the
SCELEC, not the
SCELEC.
utility.
Okay.
So that is something within the scope of the utility. The utility, basically, you could say it's regulated by the ministry by extension.
Yeah.
So we do have a stake in it, and SCELEC is one of our stakeholders in
Okay.
this whole thing. But that's an issue that you should take to SCELEC. I'm sure that they will listen to you and they will work with you to find a solution.
Well, I thought that, as you were speaking energy, I thought that it encompassed that. So, okay, we will do that. But as you are linked also with the minister, I would advise you to inform the minister of this, because you are interacting with him, I would assume. Okay, so you may go ahead.
Yes, no problem. Yeah, we actually do get that a lot, to be very honest. We represent the ministry. So SCELEC is one of our major stakeholders.
Yes.
And we get a lot of questions from SCELEC, and SCELEC gets a lot of questions on our behalf as well. So we're used to that. But yeah, so we're partnering with them very much throughout this entire process. I actually forgot to mention that we actually went to the Antioch Church on the Antioch Baptist Church on Sunday to join in the fellowship. But yeah, so we have a good bit of activity as well, and we're looking forward to hearing from. We actually have a workshop I forgot to mention. So when we launched the program for the compensation, we're going to be doing a workshop around that same time. So the workshop is meant to explain to persons how the application process works, and just inform you on how to apply, what technical documents we're going to be looking for, and it makes the process a bit easier. So we advise that any technicians who are interested in learning about the process, they can apply. We're going to open a registration link very soon, so you can apply to join the workshop and learn how to actually. If you're interested in installing solar, it would be a good idea to come to the workshop and learn exactly how the process works, so that it's easier for you to access the program.
Okay, I would just like to reinforce what Mr. Frank said and invite the public to actively participate in the public events. You have the Rough Dry Friday, which is every Friday. You have the Unplug Me Day every Wednesday. You have the Glow Walk, which is on the 29th of this month. You have the launch of the rooftop solar project. We can't give a date as yet, but it will be streamed live, and a link to it will be made public. It would be put on social media. And then you have the workshop. I would encourage any technician who is interested in solar installation and who want to know the process of how you go about applying, because what we would want is to encourage the layman, instead of trying to do that himself, he goes to a technician.
Yeah.
And the technician does everything for him or her.
Yeah.
Instead of each individual person who has no background in solar or anything like that to do it. So we encourage all persons who are interested in the technical aspect of solar PV to register and attend the workshop. What I would like to speak about now, however, is some of the things that are happening, some of the projects that we are working on within the ministry, contributing to helping along with. We have the geothermal in Nevis. You've been hearing about this for years now, but what I would update you on where it stands, we have $17 million US funding for the drilling of the wells in Nevis. Tenders were sent out to drillers. There isn't a lot of geothermal drillers in the world, so it's just a few of them, and tenders were sent out to them. And they already submitted the tender. Those tenders were evaluated, and because it's funded through the CDB then have to review those evaluations. So though it is now at CDB, but once CDB is done and a contract is awarded to the driller, we are expecting that drilling would start very early in the new year. Then there's a utility solar project which we are actively working on.
Before you go to the utility aspect, in terms of geothermal, I'm aware that some years ago geothermal had started. I don't know where it stopped or whatever. But when you speak of drilling, will it be continuing from where it left off, or would it be a start all over again?
It will be continuing from where it left off.
Okay.
Several, what you call narrow wells, you call them slim hole wells, were drilled in Nevis. One of the things that they would be doing is turning them into production well with a bigger diameter, and they would be drilling other wells if necessary.
Okay.
So then we are also working on what we call a utility scale solar. That is a very big solar as opposed to the rooftop that would take up acres of land. So it's in the planning stage at the moment, but we are hoping that we may go out to tender later this year to get the way it's structured is what you call an independent power producer, in that a private company would build the solar farm and then they would sell the electricity generated from it to Skellig.
Okay.
So that's the way it will be structured. And the rooftop solar project, which Dinazio spoke about also, it's an effort to incentivize the installation of solar PV on person's rooftop. So one of the things that we would do is develop a clear, transparent process as to how we go about getting solar on your rooftop. And in addition to that, if you generate more than you want and you sell it back into the grid, you will get paid for that.
Okay. By your statement, I would assume, perhaps I'm wrong, but I would assume that it seems to me that an individual can, if they have their skilled technician, install a solar on their roof to provide their energy, but if there is excess, then they feed it back into the grid. Is it that way?
Correct, 100% correct.
Okay, just wanted to be sure.
Yes. So that's the thing. In addition to that, we have several consultancies going. We have one coming through the ECCB and the World Bank, where they would be doing studies to upgrade our electrical infrastructure to accommodate geothermal and utility and renewable energy in general.
Okay.
Because when you're going into renewable energy, a lot of it you need to upgrade your grid. And it also involves capacity building, training.
Yes.
As I said, geothermal is a new frontier. A lot of the knowledge associated with it is not that as in the general public as, for example, a diesel engine, which has been around a long time. So training in it, and not only technical training, administrative training, and so forth would be involved in it.
And also, I would assume that the grid has to be updated to where there can be an infusion of both parts of energy. For instance, an infusion of geothermal and solar, how they will merge together to feed the populace. So your grid is going to have to be upgraded to that capability.
Correct. One of the things is the geothermal that is being developed is in Nevis.
Yes.
Have to get some to St. Kitts.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they would be doing is an interconnection.
That is what I
Designing
meant
an
when I said
interconnection
yes.
between St. Kitts and
Yes,
Nevis.
that is what I meant when I said infusing.
Yes, but another thing at the present you have a single power station.
Yes.
That generates electricity and feeds it out. Now, with the rooftop solar and as other renewable energy come on, there's no longer, there's not only just this central power station, you're getting energy from all over the country. And that is a technical challenge. So we have to deal with that. Is things that we will deal with. So,
but I would assume when that is properly implemented, the whole running of electricity will be more efficient, because then when you have one major station, when that goes, it affects everybody. But in the future, one power outage in one vicinity wouldn't necessarily affect everyone else. So, yeah.
That's the idea.
Yes.
So we have the one that is sponsored by the ECCB / the World Bank. We also have one that is funded through the UNDP, done by a company called Green in the Islands, and that will also look at the designs for control rooms in both St. Kitts and Nevis when the two grids are interconnected. And it will also look at additional upgrades in addition to what would be done under the ECCB World Bank project. There's also a project which we call the SKN 100, which is administered through SICRI, which is the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, which is based in Barbados. It's a CARICOM institution. And what it would do, it would look at the legislations, the energy legislations, and review them. It would also do an energy policy. We do have an energy policy, but it's outdated.
Yeah.
So they would review it and update it. And also they will be installing rooftop solar and several government buildings in both St. Kitts and Nevis.
We have a caller, and you're gonna have to wrap up soon after. Hello, caller.
Yes, it's me again. Now, where geothermal is concerned, it seems to be a very reliable source of energy. But for the moment in the Federation, it seems to be more talk than anything else. But where sun and solar energy, where they are concerned, they are at this moment, very unreliable. They take very, very big batteries to push the energy to an economy. They take up lots of land. They are very expensive source of energy, which would end up increasing people's bills and so significantly. And if the government decides to subsidize it, you have to get back the money sooner or later to increase taxes, because you're dealing with something that is